is Lucy, and today I'm going to be doing a book review of The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. And I would describe this book as historical meets fantasy meets kind of slice of life and a bit of romance. So in this book you follow Addie LaRue, who is 23 years old, and she is living in the 18th century, and she is due to marry a man that she doesn't love. So she has tried to avoid being married for as long as she could because she wanted to see the world and live her life and travel, and she doesn't want to just be stuck in the village where she has been brought up. And she has a friend who is an old woman who talks about the old gods that people don't talk about, and she told Addie to not pray to the gods after dark. And so Addie has tried to pray to these old gods during the day for many years so that she could be free. And then one day something happens and she basically ends up praying to a dark god who we are led to believe is like the devil, and he grants her immortal life. But there's a catch, and this catch is that no one will ever remember her. So whenever she speaks to someone, whenever they leave a room, they will forget her, and she will have to start all over again. No one remembers her at all, and she can't write her name, she can't say her name, and she can't tell anyone the story of her life because whenever she tries to, they just don't take it in, they just have a blank face. So Addie has to leave her village and she goes to Paris. And a lot of horrible things happen, and she tries to grasp this curse and her new life and how to live it and see if there's any cracks in the curse that she can use. And then every year this dark god visits her, and then it becomes less often, and you see their relationship as she hates this being that has cursed her. It's not what she asked for, and there was a catch and she didn't realise this, and now she is having such a hard life. She can't even keep anything, she can't have a house, she can't keep money or anything, she has to steal, and she can't be remembered by anyone. And then it alternates between 2014 and in the past. So we at first see her every year and we see what's happening in her life, and then it jumps a bit. So sometimes we will see her after 16 years, after 24 years, and she visits different countries as well. And in 2014 she's in New York, so we see her life in the present, and it connects really well because you see things that she's learned. In the past it says, oh, eventually she learns this, but at this time she doesn't know. And I find that really interesting. So we find out a lot more about the curse and how it works and what she does. And she ends up finding out that she can kind of plant inspiration in the minds of artists and writers, which is really cool. So throughout you see the work that she's inspired, but her picture can never be taken. So it's just such a cool concept, and it connects really well. If you like The Time Traveller's Wife, it is a bit like that. So we do have the alternating chapters, and then later on we do have a dual POV. So we have another character who comes in, and we find out that one day there's a character who remembers her. And when this happened, it was so emotional, and there are so many emotional times in this book. So you will probably tear up a few times, but it is well worth it in my opinion. So at first I feel like you need to get through the first little bit just to start to get into it, because once you get to a certain point in this book you just end up reading loads of it, or that happened to me anyway. So I read a lot over a couple of days. I finished this book in like 3 or 4 days, and it is over 500 pages, so that is quite a lot for me, but I was just really engaged in the story and I wanted to see what happened. So it just ended up being like a really good story, but it is an emotional one and it is sad, and there are just so many connections, and it's written really beautifully. There are quite a few quotes that you can pick out about life, and it might even make you feel grateful because she has a hard life. No one can remember her. She can't make any connections. She can't own anything. She can't create anything. So it makes you feel really grateful for what you have. And it was just basically a masterpiece in my opinion. The way that V. Schwab has crafted this book and alternated in times and different places. And the author has lived in France, and you can really see that in the construction of the places and the language as well. And you can see that she's really researched well with the historical periods and the different places and the clothing, and it is just really good. Addie as a character Oh my gosh, like the things that she has gone through, and yet she still keeps going, and she's really clever as well, and she kind of learns things from this dark god that she can use to her advantage, which is really cool. And there are quite a few trigger warnings for this book, so I would recommend checking those out if that's something that you are mindful of. And there are also quite a few relationships in this book as well. So we see the relationships of both of the main characters, and we see Addie's past relationships and her current relationships, and just how it all intertwines, because these people can never remember her, but she still remembers them. And after a while there is a bit of a romance, but it is not a love story, I can tell you that. There are some different relationships. There's a couple of main relationships that we see, and we do end up seeing some friendships and a bit of family with one of the characters as well. Both of the main characters have relationships with men and women, and one of the friends of one of the characters is black and a lesbian, and the other friend is gay. So we do have a bit of representation in this book. And I do have to say that I haven't really loved V.E. Schwab's other books. So I've read a bit of A Dark Shade of Magic, I DNF'd, and I read Vicious and Vengeful by this author, and I just didn't really love them. Vicious I did quite enjoy, but then Vengeful I didn't like, and A Dark Shade of Magic I couldn't get on with. I did talk about it in my most disappointing books of 2020 video, so I will link that down below if you want to check it out. So I did wonder if I was going to like this book or not, and I had heard people say that they didn't enjoy her other books but they enjoyed this one, so I was hoping that I would like it, but I didn't know how much this would affect me. It is such an emotional story, and it is a really great book. So if any of this sounds interesting to you, I would really recommend checking this book out. I rated it 5 stars, and I'm still thinking about it. So yeah, I will stop there because I could just ramble about this book for a while. But I really hope that you enjoyed this video. Please feel free to check out my other videos if you would like to. I am doing reviews of a lot of the books that I'm reading, so please check out my channel if you would be interested in watching more reviews by me. And please feel free to subscribe if you would like to, and leave a comment and let me know if you've read this book or if you would be interested in reading this book. And I will hopefully see you in another video soon. Bye!